Let's now create an order, because an order is consisting out of items, and there's a one-to-n relationship between, and order items belong to the order. So this is something where you have a list processing, and that's a pretty interesting thing. Okay, starting with the usual things, you create an order as entity, order. It is visible in other projects. It has the name order, and it may have an order ID. I now select the order ID. We type integer, and with it is part of the key, yeah. And scrolling down, you will see there's possibility to say, okay, it is counted either by the database or by your number range. Yeah? Now let's say number range. Here you can explicitly define, start with this number, increment in the following steps, etc., etc. Good, automated, saved by number range. Create the next field. Let's reduce to the minimum and say there's a comment here and a comment, and the data type of the comment is maybe string 500, something like this again. And you may also say it has an order date, whatever this now means. And this is the order date, and it is the, let's take a date, a local date. Yeah, you see, there are the Java types, local date, and here we are. Good, that's the header of the order. That's the order itself. Now let's create the order item. Same story. Order item. It is visible in other projects. Well, why not? The text is order item. It has a ID, which is the order ID. It takes over from its parent. Yeah. The text is order ID, and the data type is the same that is inside of the parent. So it's an integer. Integer, where are you? Here you are. It is part of the key. And it has a next ID, which is the item number. Item number. And the item number, I also say, is type integer. And it is part of the key as well. And going down, you see, there's also an automatic value assignment. It is automatically counted per item. So for these types of relationships, you can say, okay, this integer is counted within this order ID. So whereas this automatic assignment here that I use for the order is always looking on the full system, so the numbers are unique for the full system, this one means, okay, only within the order the items are counted. So they are counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Good. Next thing, I want to have an article. This is the article ID, and the data type is string 15. So this was 50. This was the one which I used for the article. It's a mandatory input, and it references a reference to article. This is a reference I created, so it's just a normal reference to the article. You see the article is referenced by entity article with its ID and its name. So it's pretty normal. All right, here we are. And last but not least, we have a quantity. And now we could decide what to do. Integer, double, float, big decimal. Let's now keep it to the super basics and just also say it's an integer. Yep. So this is no reference here, but also mandatory input. Okay, so to summarize, we have an order with an ID, integer, comment order date. We have an order item with an order ID, item number, both integers, and that's what we have. So far, no special thing. We just created relationships, and we just created entities, and we used some special features here for automatic assignment of things. Item number, for example, this one. Now let's go to the order, and we explain to the order that it has embedded entities. So we say you have embedded entities. Let's call these ones items. And we say, hey, order, part of your entity, so to speak, is an order item. This order item is bound as a list of objects. And now we have to define a property mapping. And this property mapping is the best way to input it here on this level. This property mapping decides how, so to speak, in the database, from the order, the items are selected. So on the left side, we have the items. Yeah, this is the embedded object. So we say the item has an order ID, item number, article ID, and so on. So we say we select these items which are referenced by my own ID. So this is the order item. So from the ID, we select these ones which have the same ID, yeah, which makes sense because both tables are built in a hierarchical way. Good. That's more or less it to check, and I can create this assembly, and it will do so. It will create the tables and so on and so forth. Successful, and deploy it. Good. Before getting now into screen definitions, I just want to show you one feature, which is this diagram here. So in this diagram, you now see all the entities which are involved in the current program. They're arranged automatically. Yeah, you can arrange them also explicitly by shifting them. So we see an article has a unit of measure. Let's just keep it here. Yeah, so they are bound. You see the key of these are in red. These are references. Then we have an order here and an order item. Yeah, and you see that in the order item, the article references to the article, and you see that the ID is pointing to a one-to-one relationship to the order item. Yeah, good. That's what we do now. Before now getting to the screen, we interrupt, and screen will be shown in the next tutorial video.